We're going to be making this Lily of the Valley out of cardstock and a little bit of crepe paper today. We're just going to be using the crepe paper to wrap our stems, and we'll be using Fern and extra fine and Juniper and extra fine. For our cardstock colors, we'll be using white and classic, so it's a smooth cardstock. We're using sour apple, which is this lighter green, and then jelly bean green for our leaves. We're going to start by making a bud for our Lily of the Valley. Got a couple buds on the top of each stem. To make the bud, you're going to take an 8mm cotton spun ball, and you'll need a 12-inch 24 gauge wire. I'm going to go ahead and take my needle nose pliers, and I'm going to grab onto the tip of my wire and just make a really small loop. So you're going to just make a very small loop with your pliers at the tip of your wire. We're going to go ahead and put that loop in the wire on into the ball. So just go ahead and press it into the ball, make sure it fits, and then you can go ahead and remove it. We're then going to add a little bit of white glue into the hole in the ball, and then place that looped end of the wire back in. Once that ball is on the tip of your wire, we're going to take a small strip of the extra fine Fern crepe paper. We're going to go ahead and wrap down the wire below the ball just a couple inches. Add a little bit of white glue onto the wire, and then go ahead and wrap that Fern crepe paper around it. And then just bend the top of the wire slightly. Then we're going to take this very small piece of extra fine Fern crepe paper, and this is the spathe. I'm going to add a tiny bit of glue to the larger end of the spathe, and with the tip pointed up, I'm going to glue it on to the stem of this bud. I'm gluing it just below the bend in the wire. And you're going to want to make 2 or more buds per stem of flowers. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside, let that glue dry, and we're going to start working on our flowers. To start making our flowers, we are going to shape them first. I like to use this wool block. It's used for felting, but it's a nice squishy surface to shape our cardstock petals on. They come in various sizes. We're using the 2 smallest sizes that come in the pack today. First, I'm going to go ahead and grab the center of my flower. I'm going to place it on the pad and take my smallest steel ball tool, and I'm going to use the larger end of this small set. And working in a circular motion, just press into the petal shape, moving in a circular motion, and this will kind of cup everything up and make a nice bowl shape. It's its shape, this is what it looks like. It's just a nice cupped. Go ahead and set that aside. And next we're going to take the petals. So this is a petal set. It has all the petals you need for one flower. I'm going to go ahead and take the same size ball tool I just used for the center, and I'm going to use it along the edge of each petal. So I'm dragging it along the edge of each petal, and this is going to kind of cup the edge. I'm also going to use it in the center of each petal in a circular motion, applying pressure. I'm just going to repeat this on each of the 6 petals. Dragging up each edge, and then a circular motion in the center of the petal to cup it. Once you've shaped all the petals, in the center we're going to use the same circular motion, and this will bring all the petals up. I'm going to go ahead and set those petals aside. We're going to take the stamen and our needle nose tweezers. Grab one side of the stamen with your tweezers and kind of roll the stamen around the tip of this. You can take the other side of the stamen and the tweezers as well and roll that side. This is just going to soften it up to make it easier to wrap around the tip of our wire. So you can go ahead and unroll it. And we're going to add a little bit of white glue onto the whole stamen except for the little ridges at the top. You're then going to take your 24 gauge wire, should be full length at 12 inches long, and we're going to go ahead and wrap our stamen around the tip of the wire. Kind of roll it around, and then you can kind of just roll it between your fingers to make sure it's wrapped nice and tight. Once you know it's nice and tight, we're going to go ahead and fold out those little ridges. It should look like a little, almost like 3-petaled flower. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and take our flower center and slide it onto the wire. Can add a tiny bit of white glue just at the base of the stamen. Slide that center right up underneath the stamen. Like that, and then we're going to go ahead and set that aside to dry while we finish shaping our petals. Go ahead and take your petal set, and all of your petals should be coming up into the center right now. Pull down every other petal so that 3 petals are up and 3 petals are down. Go ahead and take some white glue, and we're going to add glue to the edges of all of the petals. I've added glue just to this side and then this side. We're going to do that to each of the 3 petals. Then I'm going to take a steel ball tool. This is the second smallest size. I'm going to use the steel ball tool that's on the larger one. It is about 1/2 inch wide. I'm going to place it in the center of my petals, and then I'm going to bring my 3 petals that I'm holding up here down and over my other petals, and so they should be placed over the glue on each of my petals. I'm going to hold these all tight around this ball tool. This is making the really nice rounded bell shape. So we just want to go ahead and hold this over the ball, really pressing down where each petal attaches to the one next to it. And then you can very gently pull the ball out. You should have just a nice little bowl shape for your flower. I'm going to set this aside to dry for a bit before we add it to our stamen in our center. Next, we're going to go ahead and add some detail to our leaves using colored pencil. The leaves are cut out of the jelly bean cardstock, and we're going to begin by using a yellow colored pencil. I'm using lemon yellow. I'm going to add some yellow shading just to the edge of the leaf, and I'm using the side of the colored pencil just to get some really good shading. I'm going to repeat this on the other side as well. After I've added some yellow shading, I'm going to take my brown. This is light umber. Add a little bit of brown on the edges and some strokes down just from the tip of my leaf, focusing the brown up at the top of the leaf. Flip it over and do the same on the other side. Next, I'm going to take my green colored pencil. This is an apple green. Add some shading and some light strokes from the tip all the way down to the base. Repeat on the other side as well. So very light detail added. Next, we're going to go ahead and shape the leaf. I'm going to bring back out my felt pad here. Also going to grab my steel ball tool. I'm just going to run my steel ball tool along the edges of the leaf. This is going to help kind of soften the edges and will help with better shaping. I'm also going to run the ball tool up the center. So it's just going to add some nice ridges. Next, I'll take my curling tool. I'm going to curl the leaf so that it's almost cupped in the center. So right now the edges are cupping up, and now I just want to curl these edges back. So using that steel ball tool on the edges helped to soften them up to make curling a bit easier. And we're going to come back to our flower now. I'm going to add a little bit of glue just underneath my flower center here. All right, I added a little bit of glue under the flower center. Now I'm going to take my flower and add it onto my wire through that hole. And now I'm going to go ahead and wrap my wire under the flower with a small strip of Fern crepe paper. It's going to help keep the flower in place, but also adding some extra detail. Next, we're going to take the curling tool and we're going to curl each point of the petal up. So I'm really just folding the point of the petal over the tip of my curling tool. Next, we're going to go ahead and bend the flower so it faces down, just like we did with the bud. I'm going to add a tiny bit of glue just below that bend where I'm going to add the space. So same as what we did with the bud, I've got this very small piece of Fern crepe paper. Adding that piece. That's our finished flower, so we can start building the stem. To begin building our stem, we're going to take a strip of extra fine Juniper crepe paper as our stem wrap. We're going to begin with the buds. Alright, we're starting with our buds. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the wires. Begin wrapping down. Wrap down an inch or two. And then you're going to go ahead and add your first flower. We will wrap about an inch of wire between each flower that we add. You're going to want to add between 5 and 7 flowers per stem. Today I've added 6, and then we have the 2 buds. I'll go ahead and cut these wires so they're even. Once you finish wrapping, you can go ahead and arrange the flowers, and then we're going to go ahead and add our leaf on. So these are going to be placed in a pot. So where the leaf ends is where it will come out of the pot. So you do want to kind of vary your heights of your flowers. So I'm going to lay these in a line with the leaves, the bottom of the leaves all even. And I think I'm going to make this one a little bit taller. So I'm going to place my leaf down a little bit lower on the wire. I'm going to go ahead and take my leaf. I'm going to cut a slit up the center of the leaf, only about 1/2 inch deep. I'm going to add some white glue to the base of the leaf. And with my fingers, I'm just going to kind of pinch on the stem where I want the leaf, and then fold the leaf over the wire where that slit is, and just kind of pinch and hold. And you're going to have to hold the leaf kind of in place until the glue has tacked up enough to hold on its own. All right, next we're going to go ahead and add our stems of Lily of the Valley to a pot. So I have a small pot here, and I've just added a little bit of floral foam into the pot with some moss on top. Just going to press one stem in all the way to where the leaf is. All right, and there's our potted Lily of the Valley. Thank you for crafting with me today.